Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're unpacking the brilliant, groundbreaking, and, let's be honest, occasionally mind-bending theories of the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. We are going to explore the hidden architecture of the human mind, the ancient characters living inside your brain, and what is actually happening when you close your eyes and dream at night.
I want to drop you right into the deep end here. Just listen to this. Carl Jung described a hidden part of our minds as the sediment of all the experience of the universe of all time. Just take a second and let the sheer scale of that statement sink in. He wasn't talking about something mystical out in the cosmos, you know. He was talking about something buried deep inside of you right now.
So this brings up a pretty wild mystery. Why is it that humans across the globe, separated by oceans, entirely different cultures, and centuries of time, all seem to have the exact same dreams? Jung noticed that people suffering from mental disturbances in modern clinics were producing the exact same ancient, archaic images found in old, dusty manuscripts. How is it possible that people who have literally never met are drawing from the exact same internal well? Which leads us to Part 1, the universal mind and Carl Jung's travels. Jung firmly believed that to truly understand the human soul, you had to observe our shared psychological struggles firsthand. So he traveled all over, to places like India and Kenya, to see what connected us all beneath the surface. And his ultimate discovery is the absolute core focus of our explainer today, the collective unconscious. This is an inherited body of knowledge containing ancient and archaic images shared by all of humanity. It isn't just about your personal memories. It's a latent potential in the very structure of our brains. Think of it like this massive, ancient library of human experience, and you're just born with a library card to access it. Because when you really look at it, despite all our different individual identities, our jobs, our completely different backgrounds, beneath the whole shebang, we are connected by a deep, shared psychological foundation. We share a common, universal language of signs and symbols that we all intuitively understand without ever being formally taught. All right, Part 2, the architecture of the psyche, Freud versus Jung. So how does this ancient library actually fit inside our heads? Well, to understand Jung's model, it helps to quickly contrast him with his one-time mentor, Sigmund Freud. Freud kind of saw the mind as this dark storage unit for repressed primitive desires. It was a bit pessimistic. But Jung, he took a much more expansive, positive view. In Jung's model, the psyche has three distinct parts: the conscious mind, the personal unconscious, and that vast collective unconscious we were just talking about. He saw the unconscious not as a hiding place, but as an incredible site for immense personal growth. Moving on to Part 3, the major Jungian archetypes. Basically, our inherited cast of characters. Now that collective unconscious, it isn't just some empty dark void. It is actually fully populated by these powerful inherited characters called archetypes. Now, an archetype isn't necessarily a literal person. It's more like an inherited tendency or a sense of possibility. For instance, there's a universal human theme of being swallowed by a powerful being, right? Well, depending on your culture, that archetype might show up visually as a dragon or a whale that swallows Jonah or a giant ogre. The underlying theme is absolutely identical. It's just the costume that changes. And what's honestly hilarious and fascinating is how these ancient concepts show up right now, today. Just think about modern, highly absurd internet culture. Memes like Big Chungus actually map neatly onto Jung's profound ancient archetypal theories. You've got someone staring into a mirror projecting their ideal self, or standing before a literal giant rabbit shadow. It proves that even in the age of the internet, we are still completely reliant on this ancient visual language to express our psychology. Let's break down the four major hitters Jung identified. First up, the shadow. This is the dark side of your personality, those primitive drives you try to keep hidden. Jung called it a gigantic black figure in the psyche. Then there's the persona. These are the masks you wear, like that detached professional face a doctor has to put on at work. The self is the harmonious integration of all your parts, representing a truly stable identity. And finally, the anima or animus. This represents your authentic self, often balancing the masculine and feminine energies within us, and acting as our direct communicator to the collective unconscious.
You can literally see these playing out constantly in the media we consume. Characters like Rafiki from The Lion King, they perfectly embody the wise old man archetype, that figure who always shows up to impart crucial guidance, right when the hero is completely lost. Or sometimes characters act as the trickster, concealing their true agenda. When you look at an archetype wheel, showing everything from the caregiver to the outlaw, you realize these characters are hardwired into our storytelling simply because they are hardwired into our brains.
All right, Part 4,
decoding the dream world, and finding the unvarnished truth.
So, we know these ancient images are in there, but how do we actually reach them? Well, Jung believed that when we go to sleep, those social masks we wear all day finally slip off. Dreams bypass our conscious biases. They bypass our egos. They show us, in Jung's own words, the unvarnished natural truth. Because we can't easily control our dreams, they offer this direct, totally unfiltered window right into our hidden conflicts.
One really fascinating way dreams do this is through a mechanism Jung called compensation. Basically, dreams will often present the exact opposite of our conscious attitudes just to balance us out. For example, let's say you feel, very disdainful and superior to your sister in your waking life. You might suddenly have a dream where she is standing up in a high tower and you are literally forced to look up to her. Your unconscious mind is just trying to balance your waking bias.
So, if you want to try this yourself, here is the practical breakdown. Step 1. Keep a journal by the bed. Jung himself famously kept a red book to record his dreams and fantasies. Step 2. Record the context and, absolutely most importantly, record your emotions. Step 3. Look for recurring themes over time. The more vivid and repetitive a dream is, the more valuable its message. And Step 4. Interpret the metaphorical symbols, not the literal meanings. Look, if you dream you're drowning, you probably aren't actually afraid of water. You might just be drowning in paperwork at your job.
Which brings us to part 5, the path to individuation and building a stable identity. You might be wondering, why bother doing all this heavy psychological lifting? Well, we do it for the path to individuation. This is the process of bringing your unconscious material to light and really processing it with your conscious mind. It's about separating your true self from your social personas and finally accepting every part of yourself. Yep, even your shadow. And what was so radical about Jung is that he believed this conscious growth didn't just stop in your 20s. He believed you could achieve this profound growth at absolutely any stage of your life. And the healing power of this dream work is honestly incredible. By analyzing these symbols, you can identify and solve ongoing problems like avoidance or codependency. You can process hidden, unresolved grief that you stubbornly claim to have moved past during the day. And uniquely, unlike Freud, who viewed religion as the opiate of the masses, Jung believed that tapping into this collective unconscious gives you a genuine spiritual connection to all of humanity, which is incredibly healing if you ever feel marginalized or lonely. Finally, Section 6, Beyond the Mind, diving into synchronicity. As we wrap up this explainer, we absolutely have to touch on one of Jung's most mystical concepts. Synchronicity is when two meaningfully related events occur, but they share no apparent causal link whatsoever. Jung famously observed this during a therapy session. His patient was describing a very specific, incredibly rare dream about a golden scarab beetle. And at that exact moment, as they were talking, a remarkably similar, rare beetle tapped on the window and flew right into the room. Now, mainstream science might call that pure coincidence, but to Jung, that was evidence that the collective unconscious connects us to the wider world in ways we don't even begin to fully understand.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you. Have you ever dreamt of a long-lost friend, someone you haven't spoken to in years, only to receive a text or a call from them the very next day? It happens way more often than we realize, doesn't it? It challenges everything we think we know about the boundaries of our own minds. Are we truly just isolated individuals, or are we all deeply, mysteriously connected through the sediment of all human experience? Thanks so much for joining us on this one, and hey, keep paying attention to your dreams.